All right, y'all. And we are live. What's up? Y'all know it's your girl Ashley. Y'all know the creator of Black Girl Interrupted. And y'all forgive me because I never could get my hands right. So to the right of me or left, however y'all want to do it. I got my girl Leslie on with me. She is the creator of For the Love Culture podcast.
Yes.
Y'all go check my girl out. She's so freaking amazing. I'm so excited about a lot of the upcoming
Mhm.
projects we have coming. So, ooh, yes.
Mhm.
So
I,
I'm not gonna talk. I'm gonna let. There we go. Now I got my hand right. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell them who you are. Tell them about For the Love Culture
all
podcast.
right. Well, my name is Leslie Ann Seal, and I'm the owner. And hold on a second. We got people blinging in and ringing in. But I am the owner and CEO of Leslie Ann Brand. I'm a realtor in New Jersey. Shout out to Halo Realty. We have we have properties in New York, New Jersey, PA, and Florida. But most importantly, I am the creator of For the Love Culture podcast. And I really decided that mental health is just something that clearly, as our sweet friend Ashley knows very well, it's something that is extremely important. And for me personally, I've lived a life where I tried to fit everybody else's version of what they wanted of me. I just kept trying to squeeze in the box, whatever everybody else needed, whatever everybody else wanted, whatever circumstances life gave me. And I always just tried to look alive and smile and make it appear as though everything was fine. And living a lie is just, it's strangling yourself. And so that right there, just, I want people to stand and live in their truths. And in the name of love, For the Love Culture was born. So that's where we are here. And I do
Beautiful.
sing as well.
Yes, she does. And
Yeah.
when I tell you, I'm so excited for the upcoming projects that we have in the works. Like when I tell you, I'm absolutely ecstatic. I cannot wait to see. Oh, and there's my sister. Hey, Joe.
Oh,
There's my sis.
cool.
Hey, girl. She's tuning in with us tonight.
Okay. Hey, sis.
So yes. So as I was saying, y'all already know how I start the episodes. Y'all already know I do my mental health check-ins. So y'all know before any episode gets started, before I even jump into tonight's topic, y'all already know I gotta do my mental health check-in. I have to know. She says, "Hey," so I need to know how everybody's feeling tonight. Drop in the comments. Let me know how y'all are doing. I got something for everybody. Y'all already know how I come, but this is for anybody that's going through something right now. I promise you, this is absolutely for you.
Mm.
I don't know who this video was for, man, but it's like 4 a.m. in the morning, May 10th, and my heart is heavy because I know there's somebody out there that is ready to end their life, that's already made up in their mind that they're not going to fight no more. They're tired of fighting. They don't have no more strength to find because they've already gave all their strength. They don't have the strength to turn the page. They don't have the strength to see tomorrow. They made up in their mind that their life is over. And maybe they logged on to Facebook. Maybe you logged on to Facebook and looking for a sign. Maybe you logged on to say your goodbyes and you came across this video. So I just want to tell you, man, that don't let those thoughts that are trying to kill you kill you. Those thoughts that telling you life is over, those thoughts that telling you you're not enough, those thoughts that tell you things won't get better, those thoughts that tell you that you are your mistakes, those thoughts that tell you that you are your past, those thoughts that tell you that you're worthless. Don't let those thoughts kill you. They're lying to you. Because you're more than that. You're more than a conqueror. You're more than what you're going through. You do have purpose. You are awesome. You are talented. You are beautiful. You are special, despite what you've been going through. So you make up in your mind right now. Okay, you don't have to have a whole plan out for the rest of your life. You make up in your mind right now that you're gonna fight with faith tonight. You make up in your mind right now that you're gonna survive tonight. Whatever it takes. I pray that you have a peace in your mind that floods your mind. like never before, to let you know, despite everything that you're going through, the storms that you're going through, the flood that's flooding your life with pain right now, I pray that peace tells you that everything is going to be okay. I pray that you find the strength inside of your weakest moment right now that lets you know that everything is going to be okay. So you put down that gun, you put down that drug, those pills, you put it down, man. Because there's more to your life than what you're currently going through. And you'll never understand it if you quit right now. But I promise you, if you fight with faith, you fight with prayer, eventually you'll realize everything that you went through had a purpose. Everything that you went through had a purpose. Life will get better. But if you're in your life, you prevent it from getting better. All right?
And that was a word, sis. That was a word.
Yes. When I first saw that video, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was in a moment when I saw that video. I was having a moment, you know. My dad had just passed, and I was just, my mind was all over the place. It was just, I didn't know if I was coming or going. So I stumbled across that video, and I was like, oh, okay. And I watched it maybe 3 or 4 times, and I was like, yeah, I've got to show this at the beginning of every episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, it is Mental Health Awareness Month, but mental health doesn't end on May 31st.
Sure doesn't.
You know, these are things that we deal with every day. Depression, anxiety. I was watching a episode. What was that? I was looking at something on, may have been CNN or something, and it came across my timeline on Facebook, and it was a teenager. I think he may have been maybe 14 years old, and he said, "I may not work a 9 to 5, but I deal with mental issues just like everybody else." He said, "I
Mm-hmm.
need parents to stop saying you don't have a life like me. Like, you don't have to get up and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Kids go through more than we know."
Man, listen, first of all, we all have to understand if we as adults are struggling to deal with our own ish, and we are the example and are responsible for our children, you have to ask yourself, if you're struggling to keep yourself together, how is your child dealing with you struggling to keep yourself together? What stress is that putting on your child? The fact that you are not stable, the fact that they got to watch you in however you're handling your stuff, that's stressful. It is stressful. You know what I'm saying? And we as adults, we have to sit ourselves down sometimes and remind ourselves how we felt as children and put ourselves in our children's place and say, now, if my mama was doing what I'm doing, would I be all that cool to be in school doing my homework, acting like everything, or would I be saying what's wrong with this lady and I'm gonna need somebody to help my mama? Most of the time, if we put ourselves in our children's place, they got a right to be concerned and worried, especially depending on their age. We have to acknowledge these things. Even the little ones, the toddlers, they learn it the most. You know, it's an important concept.
And then, you know, the times are so different. You know, back when we were coming up, we didn't have social media.
Yeah.
You know, social media, I mean, has become the devil's playground.
Yeah, especially for these kids, you know, and they're looking for self-love is a big thing. You know what I'm saying? And people don't quite understand it. I think we have such a surface level understanding of the concept where we just think about, oh, love the way you look, love your body, love yourself as you are. And it's like, no, 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 no. Like, that's cute. That's the beginning. Yes. Like, that is the baby version of self-love. That is like the most surface version of self-love, but we have to start teaching our children from birth to love and protect themselves at all costs. Value yourself as a whole package. Your inside, your out, your good, your bad, everything about you, you better learn to love it and appreciate it. And if you don't like it, figure out why you're that way and how you can utilize it for your benefit. What is the superpower you're intended to have? But if we don't instill that kind of love into kids, then they're easily led astray. Then when they go online and people tell them, oh, you're ugly, you're this, you're that, this is why we have babies in elementary school trying to commit suicide, because they don't know their worth, because we didn't tell them their worth. And that's where tragedies happen. It starts with loving yourself. But if your mama don't love herself, and if your daddy don't love himself, how the hell he gonna teach y'all how to love yourselves?
Right.
And the cycle continues. You see what I'm saying? Like, we lead by example. So if we're a mess, what can we really expect from our children?
Right. So
especially if we snapping and biting our heads off, you know, because most of the time that's the conversation. Why you don't just calm down? You ain't got no stress. Like how is that not how it goes? But like, isn't that how we harping at the kids? What you got to cry about? Don't make me give you a reason to cry. It's like, hold on, sis. Hold on, sis. I'm gonna need you to pipe down, okay? I just asked when it's dinner ready, and you're wilding. Like,
right. So my sis says she's feeling great, but she's exhausted. I know it. It is Thursday, y'all. We are one day away from the weekend. We are a weekend away from Memorial Day. Y'all keep dropping in the comments. Y'all know I do my mental health check-in. I need to know.
Please.
Y'all good?
Everybody.
Right. So y'all already know I always post little things for y'all. So if you know somebody that's going through something, please, if you can't talk to anybody else, call the number 1-800-273-8255. That is the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Please call. If you are even thinking about suicide, please call the number. Please call the number. Y'all know I can't stress it enough. If you are having a mental health crisis, please call the number that I have on the screen, 855-274-7471. That's the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. It's a statewide number. You can call it anytime you need help. And if you're in a mental crisis, call. And then y'all know I got the other one, that if you need the text, if you cannot talk to anybody and you feel comfortable texting, please text TALK to 741-741, and that allows you to text with a trained crisis counselor from the crisis text line, and y'all know that is available 24/7. It's available. Please, there it's available. All right. So let's go ahead and let's jump on into tonight's conversation, y'all. Man. Woo! So you know I'm celebrating mothers the whole month of May. Every topic I've discussed for the month of May has been in regards to mothers. So tonight we're talking about adoption. To give or not to give. Ooh, sis.
That's a tough one.
We see this so often.
Yeah.
Why is it not? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's an uncomfortable conversation, especially I think for people of color. You know, because the first thing that comes to people's minds is, I ain't just gonna have no random person raising my flesh and blood. But then those will be the same people that'll tell you to go to the abortion clinic. Well, hold on and wait a minute, make it make sense. You don't mind killing one of your own, but you don't want one of your ones being raised by somebody that actually want to raise it.
Woo!
Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I mean, if we're gonna talk about it.
Ooh, sis. You know you done stepped on some toes with that one.
I'm just saying, like, if look, I'm definitely in a phase in my life where I just have to keep it 1,000. And when we're talking about protecting Black women, this is a big topic here, you know, because there's a huge dichotomy with especially church folk who don't want the embarrassment of their young women pregnant in the community and then no baby. They don't like that idea. They don't like that concept. They would prefer the back door, keep it quiet, keep it in this house, get rid of this issue, which is the very complete opposite of what you're telling people in the church. But because of reputation in the church, which has nothing to do with the religion supposedly represented in the church, now you got people doing all kind of stuff, and then you wonder why the morals is all lost and confused, because we telling people to do one thing but we saying another.
Woo, that's hot, sis. Oh, that's hot, because that's the absolute truth. Because
It is.
if you look back to our grandparents and the people in the church whose girls were 14 years old and they had these babies by their uncles,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't want anybody to know, so they took the baby. Some of them took the baby and raised the baby as their own.
Mm-hmm. Or that's grandma's baby. That now all of a sudden, mama is sister, mama auntie, sister cousin, all the. Mm-hmm. And then you got a whole bunch of confused, angry people.
That's like I was watching. What was it? Medea's Big Happy Family.
Yeah.
With Loretta Devine, and remember.
Mm-hmm.
Lil Bow Wow. It came out like Medea told him. She said, you need to tell the truth. Come on now. Like,
certain
you are this child's mother.
The problem with living a lie is it never works. Living a lie will never work. Whether you trying to live a lie and you fronting, or whether other people are lying around you, living a lie will always end in tragedy. I promise you it will. Tragedy and heartbreak.
You're right. You're right.
There's no way to get around it, because now you have a whole person that don't know who they are. And furthermore, they don't even know who to trust, because everybody around them has been lying to them their whole life. Now, you want to talk about mind effing somebody? You want to talk about blowing up their entire sense of trust in themselves and the world? Who can I turn to if everybody I've ever known has lied to my face?
Right. But and you know, sis, that's so prominent in the Black community, because it's always, the motto has always been, what goes on in this house stays in this house.
And that's because pride and shame have been the two thieves of peace, joy, understanding, and empathy.
But you know, it's time for us to come from behind the facade
that
we've lived all these years. You know, it's time to tell the truth and shame the devil.
Yeah.
So, since tonight we're talking about adoption, to give or not to give, this is not one of the questions, sis, but let me say that question for later. Let me say that for later on. Let's go ahead and jump into the conversation. I'm gonna say that question for later on, because I definitely want your input on this.
Yeah.
I definitely want your input.
You get what I'm
saying on this?
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. And it's an important look, the topic of adoption, again, it's complicated, and it really shouldn't be. It really should not be complicated. This should come down to, what does this woman want to do with her body? What does she feel is best for her and her mental health and her circumstances, based on her finances, based on her community around her, her support system? What is she going to be able to deal with best, mentally and emotionally and physically? That should be the only concern with respect to, should I have this baby and adopt it, Or should I have this baby and keep it? That should be the only concern in that question when you're considering adoption. However, what I just brought up before kind of knocks all of that out the window, because what you want now doesn't matter, because if you're living for the approval of the ones around you, what you want for yourself can be counterproductive to what they want for themselves. And then you have a little conundrum, especially if you're underage, because what you gonna do? Where you going? This is how you end up with homeless, pregnant teenagers.
Or this is how we end up with babies in dumpsters.
That part too.
This is how we end up with dead babies. This is how you end up with
dead teenagers
that are found dead in hotel rooms, or babies that are left in dumpsters, babies that are left in cars.
What we got to start caring more about preventing teenage pregnancy than hiding teenage pregnancy. That's what we really need to do. And when I say preventing, I don't mean barking at teenagers not to hump each other. That ain't never worked. It ain't never gonna work. Like, can we just be real about it? But again, if we go back to that topic of self-love, real self-love, about protecting yourself, protecting your emotions, protecting you from being involved in something forever with somebody you don't know. When you start putting things in real world terms with children, they're not stupid. They will understand. If you, in the name of show an episode or two of Maury, okay, it don't take much. Okay, it really don't take much to get kids to be like, look now, I ain't about that life. You know, as far as preventing getting pregnant, there are many, too many options. But the problem is when you have people that don't want to talk about sex, don't want to address the topic because they're too afraid, that leaves room for pedophiles, rapists, other foolish children, and whoever to get up in your child's ear, talk them into some stuff, and next thing you know, you got pregnant young people. All because you was too ashamed to even address the topic. Now, whose fault is this?
Right.
Where does the blame lie? You know what I'm saying? With respect to parenting a child to avoid these types of situations versus avoiding the parenting and then doing a cover-up job and hoping your child don't go crazy in the process, depending on how it goes.
So let me ask you this. So going to the question I have on the screen, when do you consider adoption? When? When do you sit down and have this conversation in regards to adoption? I just want to know, before you answer that, I want to know, why is there such a taboo conversation in the Black community? I mean, we're all for, you know what, you get pregnant, you going straight to the abortion clinic. Why not adoption?
Because again, for some reason, I don't know if it's like a trigger from slavery or something, that people is just like, we ain't gonna have our people just all over the free world. Like, I kind of low-key feel like maybe that's it in a certain, you know, to a certain extent, where it's like, look, if we have a child in this family, we keeping it in this family because we not letting no random person, we didn't let too many of ours have random of ours just be lost in the world. However, that's a psychological PTSD than a mug, because it's very, very different, clearly, having somebody taken from you versus you picking someone worthy and giving your child a better chance at life. It's two completely different things, but somehow, somewhere, I feel like somebody got them roads merged,
got the wires
crossed, and it really is a thing in our community where it's just like, the number one thing you'll hear the older people say, especially, is, I ain't gonna have none of mine just all over the world. But you'll have it down and drain. I'm confused. Make it make sense.
So let me ask you. You're 17, pregnant. Would adoption be an option for you?
I mean, me personally, I've been in this circumstance, you know, as a teenager, finding out that I'm pregnant. And I've been in it in a time where I had options with respect to my age and independence. And I've also been in this situation where I did not. have options with respect to my age and independence. And so it was two very different experiences. Now, in my heart of hearts, the first experience where I had no real choice being a minor, that is the instance that I would have chosen adoption, because abortion was just never on my list of things to do.
Right.
It just was never a necessary thing. In my mind, it was one of the things that was reserved for if by some horrific chance I were raped or something like that and became pregnant. I knew, me personally, emotionally, I could not handle any of that life.
Right. Right.
Me personally, I couldn't. And even just the emotion of going through a pregnancy like that, like, nope, nope, nope. Because especially now as a mother, my imagination was enough to tell me, hell no, we can't do that.
Right.
But as a mother, having gone through it now, even as a grown woman, like, I'm very against abortion, but having experienced pregnancy and what that is, the emotion of it, the feeling of it, and especially at my age now, if some crazy person attacked me and I found myself in that way, I would not be able to emotionally handle that, because that would mess with me.
Right.
That's the easy way to say it. That would mess with a girl. But it was one of those things where I always reserved it for that rare scenario. Or if there was like a medical reason that I had to go that route, well, then save my life. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, for me personally, I just did not see a reason to ever do that. If you find yourself in a way, then God said let there be life. and if I'm not fit to do it, then I want to find somebody who is. And then there are options in that too, where you can, as I'm sure we'll discuss, you can either be involved, not be involved, kind of be involved, want to be involved, a little bit, something. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of options that just get thrown out the window when we just say this is a secret and we don't want it, hide it. Like, like what? Wait, there was a whole gamut of options here. There was a whole gamut of options that could have allowed me opportunity to grow up maybe a little bit and then step in and just explain that I was young. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe to just say, go live your best life. And, I did my best, or there's a lot of options. Right. Rather than just shoveling kids off to operating rooms. Like,
so, when it comes to adoption, I know it's so many things that come into play for that to even be considered, financially, financially stable to take care of a child. Are you able to provide for the baby?
Well, that's why I was saying it. There are many options within adoption, because again, if you're in a situation where, let's say you are a teenager and you don't have no resources, it's like, ooh, I ain't even got my first job, ooh, but you don't want to just give your child away. There's options where you can be somewhat involved. Like, there's room to negotiate, where you have room to grow up and mature and become more independent, and then link back in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to give it all. It's not an all or nothing kind of deal, but people try to make it out to seem like it's an all or nothing. Like, you either gonna have this baby and keep it, or you ain't gonna have it at all, or the baby just gonna be lost in the world and ain't nobody gonna know nothing about it. And it's like, nah, in the name of teen mom, we done seen it on TV already. Look, come on now. The baby ain't just disappearing. They can work it out where you can see your baby or not see your baby, depending on what you decide before you give your baby away.
And see, and that's, when it comes to me, and again, y'all, this is just my personal. I don't think I could give a baby up for adoption. To carry a baby for 8 months, however long, you're pregnant. Some people deliver their babies early. Some people, I just don't think I would be able to. I mean,
it's hard if depending on the circumstances. You have to ask yourself, if me keeping this baby means that we are homeless, we are not safe, we are not secure, what other options do you have?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then as a mother, that's where your mother kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, that's where mother kicks in. And that's where you as a mother say, my baby needs to be safe.
I have to
I can't do this. I can't do this, because this is what happens. Most of the time they come home with the baby because they can't bear to leave the hospital, right? You're wavering with the decision. You take the baby home, and in the name of Pampers and Wick and Similac, and God forbid you have issues breastfeeding, that right there, and don't let you have postpartum. This will have you right back saying, you know what?
Maybe this was the right decision.
Maybe this. And the blessing is there's always time. That's why adoption to me is the better route, because the life is still living. The mama still has time to make a decision and make up her mind. Nothing permanent has happened. But if you just go straight to abortion, only thing left is heartache.
Right. And I
There's
mean,
nothing left.
you know, and the heartache
There's
comes
nothing left.
on both sides, you know, whether you abortion, because there's always been the great debate, abortion versus adoption. That's
Mm.
the greatest debate since Roe versus Wade. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I
There's heartache on both sides, but I'm sorry. Adoption, the one beam of light is the fact that God bless your child is living and breathing, and that you loved your child enough to give them a better chance at life. And can't nobody deny that one part that you damn sure don't get on the other side.
and that's
So
you
to
said
me,
exactly.
there's heartache on both sides, yes,
Right.
but one side definitely has a shining ray of joy
Right.
that is undeniable, a silver lining. And in the name of children eventually finding parents just because they want to know, there's hope for future connections. There's so much hope on one side,
Right.
where there's only darkness and sadness on the other.
And it's like, I think that's the most unselfish decision a woman can make.
Yes.
Is to, because we as women, you know, especially when we have babies, we can get selfish at times. You know,
Mhm.
what's that we can get, you know, but I think I would rather a person give their baby up for adoption than for you to murder your child, or for you to leave your you know what I'm saying, to just
Yeah.
drop your baby off in the dumpster. Or
I
I
mean,
would rather a
let
woman
me
do
tell
that.
you,
Like, that's just
I keep it 1,000 about my health, and it has not been in the best way. And not too long ago, I had left both my sons with my parents. You know what I'm saying? And that was the hardest thing for me to admit, that as a mother, I was not physically capable of maintaining my household or running and being the captain of the ship. Furthermore, I didn't want them to see me and be stressing about me. I wanted them to focus on being, the young men they are, getting their schoolwork done, and so on and so forth. So I completely understand just how hard that is to literally say, I'm not capable as a mother. However, look, there's the big child just came out the door right there. One of them is already back with me, and God bless, the other one will be back with me tomorrow. It gives you hope. Just because you're not capable right now don't mean you're always going to be incapable.
right.
You got to remind yourself of that. And as long as as long as you're moving and doing things with a pure, kind, and humble heart, where you're truly just working in the best interest of your child, where you're not saying, oh, I got a call from Rick Ross, and he about to sign me, so I ain't beat for this baby life, and you ain't just drop a baby off to go live your best.
Right.
Now, if you make a move like that, sis, but if you're genuinely a mother who says, I'm not capable, and I'm not equipped right now, adoption to me is very much the best option, because it gives you hope for the future. Even if you can't raise that child, at least hope for a relationship later. And think about it also from the flip side. There's a whole subset, not even just women. There's a whole subset of society who are incapable of having children, both men and women, and both heterosexual, homosexual, and all kinds of sexual relationships at the end of the day. So you have to think about that. Your tragedy is somebody else's blessing.
Right.
There are people who desperately want children and cannot have them. And they have more than enough resources to give your child the best life, a better life than you could. So now who's going to be selfish? This comes down to being
selfish or selfless.
And that takes me, what you just said takes me right to the next question.
Mm-hmm.
What adoption options are available? Because you know they have open adoption, they have closed adoption, and it's a couple of more. But
I was gonna say, I think there's like a partial one where like you kind of, it's at the adoptive parent's discretion how much relationship you have.
right.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There's room.
Because then, like I say, when it comes, I think if it came down to, if I were to get my baby up for adoption, I would want to open adoption.
Yeah,
Because
that's what I would have wanted.
I want to know.
My
Yeah, of
child.
course, you get to screen the families and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but I still want the interaction with the child. You
Well,
get what I'm
yeah.
saying? I want because coming up, it took a village to raise children.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a part of that. Look, this is called outsourcing. That all you're doing is outsourcing a village. That's adoption, outsourcing a village.
So I think it's, I would want to know a closed adoption.
I feel like that's reserved for if you really are in a way where you know you are like beyond struggling with yourself, and you just know that you just know that you're incapable. Like, let's say, I would think for people maybe that are suffering from certain mental health illnesses where they just know, like, it's in your best interest not to know me because I'm struggling. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's the scenario, or scenarios like that, where you would really just, maybe somebody would feel like they just want to shut it down. Now, me personally, I could never just shut it down. Like, I don't want to know you. I can't do that.
Me, I don't want you to do. Yes.
Yeah, I can't do that. But again, I could only imagine if I were really struggling with substance abuse, though, or if I was really struggling with like a severe mental illness where I knew that I was having a hard time, like just maintaining myself to have productive, positive conversations and interactions. I wouldn't want to be a negative impact on my child's life. You know what I'm saying? And in that scenario, I could see myself saying, you know what? You don't need to know me. You don't need to know me. But that will be because something I know is wrong with me, to the point where I know I'm going to be a problem for you as my child. But if I know that I'm not going to be a problem for you, and it's just a financial thing, or circumstances just aren't right for me to raise my child, I'm damn sure going to be in the audience for every school play and clap. She's going to be at every game. And, like, I just can't afford to keep you.
Right.
Would be my thing.
And then as you get older, I'll be able to sit down and explain. Yeah. So exactly. I'm about to play this video, sis. I pulled up this video on YouTube where a young woman shares her adoption story. And I just, oh my God. Okay. When I tell you, it's such a cute story. It's wonderful. So you don't have to cut your camera off, because we're not going to be able to see you anyway. They're not going to be able to see us. They'll be able to see the video. Okay. But here's the video. It's called My Black Adoption Story. It's like 5 minutes long, 4 minutes long, something like that. This is a cute little story.
Okay.
I know how I found out that I was adopted. And I'm always interested when I talk to adopted children like me. How did you find out you were adopted?
I found out when I was 3. And
whoa.
Yes. And my mom did it in the most amazing way. She came into my room and I was playing with my baby dolls, and I think it was a baby checkup. And I was playing with it because it's like one of my favorite dolls ever. And she said, "You're adopted." And I said, "What?" Like, I'm 3 years old. What am I supposed to take from that? And she said, "Well, let me show you. You see how this baby is yours and you take care of it? I'm going to take this baby and take care of it now. It's mine." And I said, "No, give it back." That's mine.
Right.
But, that was her way of trying to just connect with me and tell me that, you're amazing, you're special, and this is something that you can go around and tell the rest of the world if you want to. And that's what I did. I went around and told people that I was adopted. And I would get the same expression like, "Okay."
Stop. What's your mother's name?
Vicky Johnson.
Vicky Johnson. I just wanted I wanted you to speak her name because she handled that with such grace.
Yes.
And with such dignity.
Yes.
Because I know stories of people finding out that they were adopted and it's awful.
Yes.
But your mother was intentional.
Yeah, she didn't wait till I was like 20 to tell me.
Wow.
You know, like drop a bomb on me. Like, no, she told me when I was 3.
Now, at 3 years old, did you get it?
No.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're a little young to be understanding what all
No.
that meant. When did it kick in and you got it?
I would say I got it, really, it hit me. And it wasn't a positive revelation, but it was still a revelation of me saying it's something beautiful. It was Mother's Day. And my family was all sitting around, as we always do, you know, after we've eaten and we're gotten a little tired. Everyone started talking about their labor issues that they had and how many hours they were in labor.
yeah.
And so my grandmother had something to say, my 2 aunts had something to say, my older cousins had something to say, but my mother didn't have anything to say. And I sat there and I was like, oh, that's right. You don't have nothing to contribute to this. And it hit me really hard. And then literally a couple of years later, I saw a photo of my baby shower. And I was at the baby shower. I've never seen a baby at their actual baby shower. And I was like, why am I'm at the baby shower because obviously you adopted me, and then everybody came over and had like a celebration.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like a, you know, sort of sad revelation and then a happy revelation that I have had this amazing blessing over my life, that someone chose to love me.
Yeah.
You know.
Aw, that was so sweet.
You heard her. She was like, her mom told her she was 3 years old.
Hmm. You know,
I was like, oh my
Tiffany Haddish was just interviewed on E! Daily Pop by Justin Sylvester, and he asked her about adoption, and she was saying that she wants to adopt because she wants, and she said she wants to adopt like a child that's like 5 and up, because she wants the child to know how hard she worked for the child. She was like, I want, you know, my child to know, like, I loved you and I worked hard for you and I chose you in particular. And, you know, and I just think that that's a blessing. Like, we have to be considerate of those people too on the other end as well, that just because you're not able to take care of this child doesn't mean that there isn't a blessing in the storm, you know?
So, rolling right here to this next question, because now we're going to get to the meat of adoption. The challenges of adoption. So let me say this. These are some of the challenges that I've seen in regards to adoption is age. Age and sex.
Yeah.
You know, you have some people that want newborn little boys
Mm-hmm.
versus a 10-year-old little boy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
We got it's even deeper than just age and sex. You got to think about race too. You know what I'm saying? Like there's it's become very cute for wealthy white people to collect children of other races. Now, it can be looked at in, again, 2 ways. It could be looked at as collecting designer items to show off and appear as though, look how great I am. I feed the world, in a personal way. Or it can be looked at as, what a blessing, this person has the resources like no other to rain down on a child that would never otherwise have seen this kind of life, experience this kind of thing. So it's like, to me, there are a lot of challenges to adoption. It does get tricky. It does get tricky.
I mean, and I know one of the things that whew, girl, because baby, you just hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're seeing more white people adopting black babies, but now you're seeing black people adopt white babies.
Mm-hmm. All of it. And that's why it's like, it gets very interesting because to me, I look at this issue of adopting children of other races and I look at it as what is the intention and the actions of the parent that's doing the adopting, right? Now, if you're a Black parent adopting a white child, for instance, right? Now, clearly, your white child gonna know they ain't Black, right? Are you going to take the necessary steps to make sure that this child understands their own heritage while staying in your home? If you're that kind of person, then I say, well, more power to you. Then you're just a person that wanted to raise a baby and you want to make sure that this person is a whole, healthy human being.
Right.
And in order to be a whole, healthy human being, they need to have a full love and understanding of themselves, which goes back to the self-love I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But if the parent gets the child, provides resources, make it rain resources, you know what I'm saying? But does not acknowledge the fact that this child is a whole other race, does not provide any kind of support or assistance to help this child understand that they are a white child living in a Black world.
Well, what do you
Then
think?
something wrong with you, because I would question your intentions in why did you select a child of that race if you're not going to do anything to address the fact that they're a different race, because it's something that the world will address for you. So how could you not address it being the adult? You're setting that child up for failure. You're setting them up for a hole to fall into. Every time they say, who's the parent of little Timmy? And everybody looking around in confusion. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to, in my opinion, that's how you tell who's sincere in their adopting children of other races versus who's collecting designer items.
Right.
And that goes either way, whether it's white collecting Black, white collecting Asian, Asian collecting white, Asian collecting Black. Because otherwise it's a little slavery adjacent. I'm just saying.
So do you think, okay, let's go to the whites that are adopting Black babies. Do you think they're capable of teaching them their heritage and
Yes,
where they come from?
I do.
And when I ask this question, I don't mean textbook.
Well, I think that they are capable in knowing how to, first of all, anybody can find resources if they want to. You know what I'm saying? There's too much out there just about Black culture in general. Even if you don't know anybody in particular, there's enough in the name of BET and Black sitcoms that you can, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are things you can do to make sure that your child does not feel like the stranger and the odd man out in the household. Right. So if you're just down to the TV shows that you watch, the content that you have, the artwork in your home, like, there are things you can do to show that in your world, it is a melting pot. In your house, all colors are represented. So then there's nothing that's weird. You're not just inviting random Black people over saying, hello, you know, brought a nigga for you. You know, like we're not doing that. We're not doing that. But you do have to acknowledge and address it in a way where the child is going to be comfortable, be familiar, not stand out when they're with their own people. Because that's the thing. You raising this child one way, and then when they get around their people away from you, they're going to feel crazy. They're going to look and feel crazy because they're not going to be used to being around people like them. And that's going to be a whole other problem. But there are ways that you can, I feel, there are genuine ways that you can address it and help. But it is about the community raising and helping to raise that child. You got to extend outside and outsource to have a whole, you know, a holistic view, I guess, of raising that child, because there are extenuating circumstances that require it. And that's about being responsible. Or again, you slavery adjacent, and I don't know about you.
So do you think that's the biggest challenge of adoption?
The biggest challenge of adoption is letting go of your baby. That's the biggest challenge, is just letting go of your baby. Everything after that is just a matter of you, your judgment, and knowing whether or not you're giving your child to somebody who look like they buying a designer bag. You got to use your judgment. You know what I'm saying? Like, with respect to once you decide I'm going to go adoption, the rest is up to you. Now, don't you give your child to nobody to look crazy. Don't give your child to nobody to look like they hang with Jeffrey Epstein. Don't give your child to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, use some judgment. Like,
But I mean, and that's what comes along with, like I say, that goes right here. How do we select the right family? Because I want to go back to the challenges, but since we've already opened the door on selecting the right family, let's talk about it. But again, I want to go back to the challenges of
yeah.
it. So it comes to, I think, to me, and this is just my personal opinion, when you find out you're pregnant, you're deciding, you're debating on what you're going to do and to give or not to give. Am I going to keep this baby? It's like a scale. Does the good outweigh the bad? Does the bad outweigh the good? So in this moment, so you're thinking, you're like, okay, all right, what do I want to do? The baby daddy doesn't want to be in the picture. I'm 18 years old. I'm still living at home with my mom and dad, or however your living arrangements are. I'm not, I work at Pizza Hut. Am I really truly able to take care of a child? So, okay. So here we come 5 months down the road. You're 5 months pregnant. You're like, you know what? Adoption. I think in that moment, you need to start spending time with the family, or maybe even early on.
Or to me, once you're pregnant and first of all, you find out that you're pregnant and you're in a financial way where this is not something that you can do realistically. You know that from the moment you find out you're pregnant. It ain't like you found out 5 months pregnant because you ain't got no money. You ain't had no money for no baby. You know what I'm saying? You ain't lose it all in 5 months. So to me, as soon as you find out that you're pregnant and you know that your situation is not stable, there are organizations you can reach out to that can assist with this process, I believe. And that to me would be my move, is to find out what is a reputable organization that can assist me in screening people. So that way, by the time I'm 5 months pregnant, I can be spending time with these folks to make sure they wrap tight. You know what I'm saying? Because it is a time-sensitive situation. And we as women know, well, as soon as you find out that you're pregnant, it's either yay or it's either one of the two things. It's either yay or, and if it's you run through all the options immediately.
But you have,
So to me, as soon as you know that that's one of your options, call an organization. A phone call doesn't hurt nobody to find out your options. To find out, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, knowledge is power. It's better to make that call when you first find out, knowing good and well your situation ain't right. Whether you're with him, you ain't with him, y'all can afford it, you can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever your reason is for looking in that direction, you do it pretty much as soon as you found out you was pregnant. Unless something tragic happens very, very last minute, which is pretty rare. But most of the time, you knew when you found out she was pregnant, this was not it's great news. So try to contact organizations if you don't know anybody. First of all, I would try to see if there's anybody I knew personally that I trusted enough to raise my child. Number one, that's the easiest route, just so that you have easy access to your child and you can know what's going on, and maybe you don't even have to make things as official if you go that route. But if you did have to go the official route, I would go to an agency because there's legalities involved, and I would want to make sure that all of my rights, I want to know all my options, and then once we know all the rights and options, then you got to get to picking families and making sure they're not crazy.
Fix your sound.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
But it's crunchy.
It sounds like a robot. Oh, she went out. She's coming back. Technical difficulties. Y'all know StreamYard does the most, but it's okay. My sister will be right back in. So to me, I think when it comes down to the right family, you want to ensure that this family is financially stable to take care of your child, that they can provide the mental, physical, and emotional support for your child. That's my opinion when it comes down to how do you select the right family when it comes to adoption.
Hey, can you hear me better now?
There you go. There you go. I don't know what
Good.
happened. StreamYard does that from time to time. I don't. It
Mhm.
does that. Like the
I've
sound,
seen it on
it'll
other
go.
shows.
It'll go bonkers, and then it'll come back right. Like you have to leave out and then come back. Like cut the camera off and then come back, and then it just. I don't know. It's crazy.
Mhm.
But oh, hey, big brother. Y'all, that is my big brother, Will. He is
Okay.
the host. You've got to check him out on Sunday. Well, Sundays and Mondays. He has the ADHD Hour podcast and he has the
Oh,
Mailed podcast, which is on. Okay, so the ADHD Hour podcast is on Sundays. You can follow him on Facebook. You can follow him on YouTube. And
hold
then
on
on
now.
Monday nights, he does the Black Mailed podcast. Actually, in June, Big Brother will be coming on a couple of episodes with me in June in regards to celebrating the black man. Hey, y'all know I love the black man. Whew, y'all black men are so.
Oh. And so, what's his name? How do we follow him on social media? So because I have family members with ADHD, so I would love to see what he's
It
talking
is
about.
the ADHD Hour podcast. I'll send you the links.
No, thank you.
Look, he says LOL. He's laughing. But yeah, Big Brother Will is coming back on the show with me in June. We're gonna do a couple of actually him and his co-host are gonna come and maybe do a couple of episodes with me in June. Because I gotta have my black men on here. I got to represent for y'all. I have to celebrate y'all. I have to love y'all. Y'all black men know y'all are every damn thing to me. Oh, I love y'all. But right now we talking about our black women. I'm celebrating the black women right now.
Mm-hmm.
He say that that's just the name. It's not about ADHD.
Oh.
It's just called the
Look,
ADHD
look,
Hour
I got
podcast.
excited.
They're throwed off on there. Him and my sister Nicole, crazy. But
Oh,
the black male podcast. Oh,
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
have to check that out.
with the links. I promise you I am because I've done a couple of shows with them on the Black Male podcast, and oh yeah, we get the man's version of certain topics. He came on, Big Brother came on with me the whole month of February. I did
Oh,
everything in regards to love, and we talked about relationships. We talked about cheating, and I wanted my brother on there. I was like, hey, I need the black
yeah.
man's perspective on this, So check him out. He's so freaking awesome. I freaking love him. He's so
Oh,
amazing.
I definitely will. I'm excited.
There it is. ADHD podcast. You can find them on
Hmm.
YouTube. You can find it on Facebook. You can also find the Black Mailed, and it's MALED podcast. You can find that on YouTube, and you can find them on Facebook. I'm gonna help him so we can get them on over to other
Yeah.
streaming platforms and not just Facebook.
Hmm. And I do my business consulting, so I will help you get your LLC on and start running these tax exemptions and getting some of these residuals. So holla at
Boom.
your girl.
There you go. And that's
Yeah.
it. The Black Mailed podcast. Oh, I can't never get my hands together. There you go. Down right there. But
Hmm.
it's an awesome show. I love it because we had those uncomfortable conversations that black women are like, oh,
Hmm.
don't sit. No, sisters. I call y'all out too.
Hmm.
I call y'all out,
You gotta
sis.
keep it real. Look, we ain't got time for faking the funk. If you acting crazy, I'm gonna tell you, you acting crazy. And I don't care if you're a boy or a girl, black or white. I don't give a damn. If you acting crazy, you acting crazy, and I'm gonna tell
Right.
you. So,
So, as I was saying, when it comes to how to selecting the right family, you want to make sure that this family not only can financially take care of your child, but can they support them emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. That's what it comes down to.
Because money isn't everything,
Right.
and that's why I say sometimes, especially if you're alone in it and you're young, to try to reach out to organizations that maybe can help you with this process, because folks will try to take advantage of you, your hormonal, it's a lot. It is a lot, and it's a very big decision. But you definitely want to take certain things into consideration, and you don't want to have people who are desperate for a child for good or bad reasons trying to rush you or bully you into giving your baby to them when they might not be the right people for your baby.
And there you go. You took it right back to the
Yeah.
challenges of
Yeah.
adoption. So, I mean, sis, both of these, they go hand in hand, the challenges and
Mhm.
then selecting the right family, because that's the challenge is,
Yeah.
how do you know that that's the right, how do you know? It's almost like you're doing interviews. And I hate to say it
Hmm.
that way, but
You
it's
need
like
to.
you
Don't
know,
hate to say it like that. You need an
it,
interview.
you're doing job interviews. It's
Hmm.
like an interview. You're like, okay, are you the right family?
Are
And
you
I would
qualified?
say spend time with the family.
Are you qualified? Are you bona fide? Can you
Right.
afford this baby? What are your values? That's the people. You have to remember, you're not giving somebody an old pair of sneakers. You're not giving somebody an
So
old
jeans.
furniture or some jeans. This is your whole child. So if you do care about this child, which clearly you care, that's why you gave it life and you didn't just get rid of it in the first place.
Mhm.
So if you care enough to give it life, care enough to know what kind of life you're giving it. Because we do have those tragic stories of children that wound up in horrible ways because they were left to the side or left to just any old body or left to the person that had the most money in some circumstances, which are not the ones that we like to talk about. But there's many circumstances where women that are victims of sex trafficking have children, and those children end up wherever. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're making the conscious decision to give your child up for adoption, you need to make sure that the people that you're leaving your child to have your same morals and values. Otherwise, you're partially responsible for whatever happens. If there's foolishness that comes from whoever you gave that child to that you could have avoided, and it's key phrase, could have avoided.
But
Because,
that's like what we do now. Even, you know, let's step out of adoption for just a moment. That's like trusting any and everybody to watch your child. You
which
know
you
what I'm
shouldn't be
saying?
doing as a parent.
Right.
I don't know
And
who wrote that book about just letting any old body, Tom, Dick, and Harry take your baby, and then you wonder why folks is touching on people's kids and stuff. Like,
or they beaten, or these babies end up dead. I mean, I've seen stories. I pulled up a story on YouTube as I was in preparation of this episode of adoption. And a black woman, she adopted a cute white baby, 3 years old, and she beat the baby to death.
oh no. And what was the reasoning? That's what I'm saying. In mental health, people got to, this is what I'm saying. That's why if you go to a service, you have a better chance of the person being screened. Like,
It's
you know what I'm
kind of
saying? Because a
reputable.
certain that's what I'm saying. If you are a mother who wants the best life for your child, you find the most reputable organizations and services. They will make sure that there are certain psychological screenings. They go through the financials of their applicants. Like there are companies and places that you can go to make sure that your child ends up in the
It's
right place.
placed
But
in the
you
right.
got to do due diligence, which is why I bring it back to as soon as you knew you was pregnant, be responsible and find out. Information don't hurt nobody.
So
Contact the organizations.
let's normalize checking with family first.
Yeah, that's the first place.
Let's
Truthfully, but it depends on how you've been raised.
It is, but
Because if
that's
you
not when it comes to adoption, sis. That's not always the way they go. The moment they talk about adopt, they always seek outside. It's never the family, never the family. Hold on, let me take her and bring her back.
Hey,
Okay,
all
so
right.
she's
So I
having some
think
technical difficulties on her
there
end.
you are.
Rolling.
I can see you. I can
But
hear you.
let's normalize adoption. There you go. When it comes to adoption, the first thing that people do is they look outside of the family. It's never a aunt or a cousin or a brother or a sister that takes the child. We always, not we, but I mean, not me, but it's always,
Hmm.
excuse me. Let's go to an adoption agency. If you want to keep the baby in the family, especially if you know you have an aunt and an uncle, or maybe your sister is in a better position. Let's normalize that versus
Oh yeah, that should definitely.
by no means am I knocking an adoption agency. By no means. So I don't want anybody to feel like, well, she's
Yeah.
knocking. No. But I'm saying check with family first. And
Yeah.
as
If you have a family that's supportive in that way, and you know that you have relatives that can be of assistance, that to me is literally just outsourcing. Again, you're outsourcing to your community, to your tribe, and you're allowing your tribe to assist you in raising your child in whatever way you negotiate with family. And most of the time you don't even need all this extra paperwork and things, depending on the circumstances. It can be a lot less stressful if you just go to a family member from the very beginning, somebody you know, love, you know the history, you know all about them, you know other people that know more about them that you can find out if you need to, like, versus strangers.
I mean, because that goes back to we're still talking about selecting the right family. That takes me to what's the little boy that was murdered in California by the mom and the boyfriend? He was living with the uncle. Oh, what's his
Um,
name? They did a documentary about him on Netflix. It was like eight
I
episodes
can't
or six
I
episodes.
can't remember, but I know I remember what you're talking about.
I see his name and his face. I just can't call his name. But he was living with the uncle, was flourishing. Such a
Hmm.
cute little boy. The mama wanted him back. The mama came and took him. And this little boy ended up dead. The mama and the mama's boyfriend tortured this baby. They tortured him. And through all of that, he still loved his mom.
Mm-mm-mm. They
And
always do,
he
and
even kitty litter. But and that's that's what I mean when I say when it comes to the right family, why? If you know you're incapable, why be selfish like that and take your child away from an environment where they're flourishing, where I mean just
those people ain't in their right mind. That's why. Those are people that clearly are suffering from some kind of mental health issue themselves, because wouldn't no parent in their right mind do their child like that? So you got to already from the very beginning of that story tell yourself them people ain't rap tight, and they are not. They are definitely in the minority,
let me
because no loving parent would be able to do that. And it's again about being selfish or selfless, and that is very selfish.
let me find his name. I'm gonna tell you his name. Um, I know it was in California. What is this baby's name? Oh my goodness, because he was just as cute as he could be. And the saddest part about all of this, um, Gabriel Fernandez. That's his name.
Okay,
Gabriel.
yeah.
Gabriel. He was living with the uncle. The uncle was in a same sex relationship. The uncle was, but this little boy was flourishing, and the mother had given the little boy to her uncle to raise.
Hmm.
I think she had two or three other children. I think she had two other children, and she
And
just
now, and now
came back
look,
in and took this little boy. But that was the only one she was abusive to.
people, like I said, when they ain't rap tight, and pardon the expression, but that lady obviously had a mental problem, because that's not a logical thing to do. That is not, it's not a sensible healthy thing to do. So you have to tell yourself in the very beginning, that's a mental health issue that went unchecked. Somewhere in her situation, she needed help and she didn't get the appropriate help.
Right.
And unfortunately, this is a tragedy that came from it.
Right.
You know.
And it goes back, because I'm gonna double back to this right here. The challenges of adoption.
I mean, the challenge is you don't always know what the future holds. You can try your best to make the best decision for your child, but you can't guarantee that the future is going to be better with somebody else than it would have been with you. It's one of those things where you have to make the best decision that you can with the information that you have at the time. And you just pray that if and when you're given the opportunity to explain yourself and to hear about that child's journey after they left you, that God gives you that ability to have that conversation and that you can grow and heal and move and learn from there. But that's all you really can do.
Right. But you know what popped up in my head? Just talking about Gabriel. And again, I had to go back to the challenges of adoption, the system.
Mm-hmm.
The system. The system gives people such a hard time in regards to adopting kids.
Yeah. It's wild. It's a whole process for adopting, but then anybody seems to be able to become a damn foster parent and abuse kids and get paid. So somebody,
Girl, okay.
I need
Come
to
on now.
understand. Somebody make it make sense. Why I got to have, a whole hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, all kinds of degrees and jobs from here, there, and everywhere, and all kinds of paperwork to back me up if I want to adopt a child. But I could just roll down to social services, fill out a couple forms, and next thing you know, bing bang boom, I got a baby in the house and a
I'm
check.
a foster parent.
And a check. A check. Yes.
There was this family. I'm gonna see if I can find the article and I'm gonna try to send it to you. This black lady, they were on what's the show where they come and they fix your house? What was that show?
Flip My House?
No. Where people like wrote stories and the people came and they sent them on a trip while they fix up their house. Oh, what was the show called?
Extreme Makeover, Extreme Home
There
Makeover.
you go. Yeah. No, wait, was that it? Yeah, them. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
What this black family was on there? They were foster parents.
Mm.
Okay, black family, and I think they had taken in like 10 or 12 foster kids.
No, that's a lot of damn kids. Now, what the hell we doing? How we giving all these kids love and attention and affection?
So they needed a new house, so they wrote into Extreme Home Makeover. I think that's the show.
Yeah.
And they sent the family off to let them go to Disney World or something like that or another. So rebuilt this bigger home to accommodate. I think they had 12 kids. It may have been 10. I don't know. I know it was a lot.
Too many.
And so about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, one of the foster kids came forward and said they didn't use the money to take care of them.
Of course they didn't. Here's my thing. You ain't going to have, look, it is very hard, especially in this 21st century living, you know what I'm saying? To afford 5 and up. 5 kids and up will strangle you. Most people, 3 kids is too damn much. Okay. And that's 3 natural born children, much less 3 children that are not all from the same family, who all are going to have different emotional needs, different histories and backgrounds. Like, foster children are in a circumstance where they were literally taken from their parents because their parents were not capable of loving them. It's very different than adoption, where this is an act of choice. Right. Foster children, for the most part, they're in this scenario due to circumstances that the adults couldn't even control. Right. Exactly. So you have these kids are coming with trauma. They're coming with pain, suffering, and all types of things. How the hell are you going to address the pain, trauma, and healing and emotional security and support of 12 damn foster kids? How, Sway? Make it make sense.
Right. And then
make it make sense.
And then too, you have the children that come from drug addicted parents who are
Yeah, like
putting drugs
I
in their
have two
system.
sons, and it takes a lot to manage my two sons. You see what I'm saying? Between their doctor's appointments, they teachers, they school activities, all these other 12.
Right.
What? What?
But you have some people that, but then too,
Unless you have resources, like unless you're a multimillionaire, where you literally can afford the staff of people it would take to coordinate for
right,
that many children. You see what I'm saying? Like you got to have bankroll to have enough staff to address, because it's not the same thing as even adopting 12 kids necessarily. Because again, foster kids are coming more than likely with a lot more trauma than somebody who was given off an adoption from birth and didn't know that they were adopted. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a difference in the road.
and then you're dealing with multiple personalities. Like I say, you're dealing with,
Yeah.
depending on the age of the children, it could
Mhm.
range from you could get a 1-year-old to you could end up with a 13-year-old child. And here you are, you're trying to not really, and I hate to say the word coordinate between this 1-year-old child and then you have this 13-year-old child, the one that's already fully developed.
And,
So you're dealing with trying to balance
and let's be
between
real, some of the trauma that these children experience, they then turn around and exhibit and mimic towards other children.
yes.
So you cannot have a bunch of kids that have been through possible sexual trauma and abuse, then left around each other, especially if you ain't got the money and resources to really watch them and adequately care for them. They could be abusing each other and kids in the community.
Right.
They going to school wreaking mayhem on the community because you ain't watching them and you ain't providing no resources. All you doing is collecting a check.
Right.
To me, anytime you see that many foster kids in one home and the people are not multimillionaires, they running a scam. I'm sorry, because it's just too expensive to take care. It's too time consuming and expensive to adequately care for a child.
Right.
For you to volunteer to bring in 12 kids that more than likely each of them come with their own set of damage and trauma and issues. Like hell to the no, hell to the no. And if you need to call Extreme Makeover, then you ain't in that crew that's the multi-million crew.
Right. Yeah. But I
Because to
mean,
me, why would you, first of all, that didn't mean, if I were to show, I wouldn't have done it for them anyway, because truthfully, you went out and you got all these kids and then called us to build you a bigger house when you could have just stayed in the house that you had and not went on and got all these extra kids.
well,
Like
if I'm
you
not
feel what I'm
mistaken,
saying?
I mean, the house was big, but
But
like
it ain't big enough for that many
it
kids, is
was,
what I'm saying.
and it may not have been 12 kids though. I know it was quite a few.
But
I
still,
know
you
they had
you see what I'm saying though.
yeah, and I know
If you have foster kids and you can't be writing into those shows with in a 3-bedroom, you know what I'm saying, and you got 7 foster kids talking about we need a bigger house, we cramped. I'm gonna want to punch you in the face.
but that may not necessarily be the case. I mean, you have some where the foster homes are almost like revolving doors. You know
Well,
what I'm
that's
saying?
different. You see what I'm saying? It again, it depends on the circumstances, and it depends on how many kids you have, how long you keeping these kids, and are you running a shelter, or are you raising children? Are you
And
like
then too,
what, you know what I'm saying? Like it depends on the circumstances here.
but they may
Because
be, but the thing about it, they may be in a big, in a big place. They may have like, I know one of my really dear friends of mine that lives in Chicago, bought a, I can't think of the name, but I can't think of the name, but she turned it into like a women's shelter for women that get out of prison.
oh, how
And
nice.
so, cause she was in prison, herself, and I'm actually
Mhm.
gonna have her on the show,
Oh,
um,
great.
probably in July. Me and Miss Coco, we're gonna get together because, um, the topic for July. So I'm gonna keep that under wraps. I'm not gonna tell anybody what July is gonna be about because it's gonna be It's gonna be some real shit in July.
Okay, yeah, I'm
But
excited. It's my birthday month, you know what I'm saying?
oh
I'm
yeah, it's gonna be some real shit in July. Like it's gonna be a real live topic for the whole month of
well,
July.
good, good.
Some shit people don't be wanting to talk about.
That's the shit I want to talk about because I'm about tired. Like all of this look alive and I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine,
Right.
I'm fine, I'm fine. I don't want to do that no more. I'm tired of that.
Because
I'm not about that
they
life
know
anymore.
I get controversial on Black Girl Interrupted. They know how I do. I talk about current events. I talk about police killing black men, and
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna be
Talk about
talking.
it all.
Oh yeah, we talk about it, sex, everything. But
Mm-hmm.
but you have some that buy these buildings and they turn them into like foster homes or whatever. But after a while, when it's like a revolving door, and the
Mm-hmm.
system plays a part in that too, because you make these accommodations thinking that these kids are going to be here for a while, and 6 months later, 3 months later, and then eventually, the building starts to run down, plumbing and
Well,
whatever.
yeah, I mean, my grandmother and my great aunt both had foster sons, so I know this experience because I used to come in the summers and I would live with them between both homes, and both homes had foster kids. Some stayed, we had some kids that stayed, till they was grown, and then we had others that kind of came and went as they needed to. Some that came back and forth, like so we had the whole gamut, from young to older teenagers. But it's also because of that experience that I know
Right,
it
right,
can it's something that even if for the most best intentioned people, bad things can happen.
right,
And if you have too many people under your roof,
right. And like I say,
because
you're
you can't
dealing
keep
with
track of everybody. It's a reality. You cannot keep track of everybody. And
and
you're
then
dealing with people and kids that are hurt from not being with their own families. And the way they express that hurt, depending on what they've been through,
Mhm,
can lead to more tragedy and heartache.
right.
So I just get concerned when I see people with
That
a whole bunch of foster kids now
right.
at one time. At one time, it's different if you've had 12 over the course of a certain amount of time.
Over a
But if
certain
you
time.
got all 12 in the building right now, I'm looking. Yeah, I got to get the side on.
You see how you look, you see how the look, you see how the turn
Yes.
around like that, like.
I'm
But
like,
I
something ain't
definitely
right with
agree
you.
with you because you
Yeah,
do have these people that take in these children
just
to
for the check.
collect their checks,
And
and
beating them, and like that movie with with that finance man and Denzel Washington in the Marines.
Antoine Fisher,
Yes, like that. Boom.
and he was being beat by the foster mother and
Mhm.
molested by her daughter.
Yeah. You see what
And
I'm
by
saying?
the way, I read the book. By the way, I read the book.
Mm.
Let me
But
say
this is
this.
why we
Let me
talk
let
about
me
adoption.
let me say this. When I tell you, you have to read the book. You gotta read the book. I promise you have to read the book.
Prayerfully, my life will get less stressful and I won't fall asleep when I go to read things for pleasure. And
Right,
it'll be on my list of things to do.
right,
Because I want to get back to the good old days when I could read for pleasure. Because, I
right.
actually like to do that. But
Because the
yeah.
book goes into detail.
I'm sure it does.
And and let me say this, black people. And then I'm gonna play this one little clip. I encourage you black people, go get your black babies.
Hmm.
Go get your black kids. Go get them.
Hmm.
I'm not saying let me say this. I'm not saying white people can't adopt black babies, but black people go get your black children.
Can't nobody tell you about you than any more than somebody that's already experienced what you're gonna experience. You need that direct testimony and guidance in life to be the most successful as possible to me. You know, and if you're blessed to be in a position to assist somebody in that way, you do that because you can speak to the experience and you can really guide them. But now when you start adopting children that are of other races, you're going to have to take extra steps because you cannot speak to what they're going to experience. You do not have any kind of comprehension as to what life is like for that child. How can you really guide them in the way that they should go if you have no idea the road in which they're going to walk? You never been on it. So
can't relate. You can't
you
relate.
cannot relate. That's why I
You
said
can't relate.
you can tell who's collecting designer babies versus who's really trying to just adopt and love a child versus how they go
Regardless of
about it
race.
and the resources that they go out of their way to provide because they acknowledge I don't understand what they're going to be preparing themselves for. And I need to prepare them in the best way that I can. So what resources do I have available to me to make sure my child knows who they are outside of just being my adopted child?
And besides teaching me who I am through a textbook.
Yes, exactly.
Because y'all know I'm finna get down to the meat real quick. Because a textbook does not sit down and have those conversations with my son every time he walks out the door.
Nope.
Those textbooks don't protect my daughters when they walk out the door. Before I roll to this clip, let me say one thing. Happy birthday to Mike Brown.
Yes.
He would have been 25 years old today. Ferguson, Missouri. Let me say that.
God bless your soul.
Let me say that. So, Black people, go get your Black babies. Go and take these Black children home.
And this is why it's important that we talk about adoption, because again, we go back to the concept of with adoption, you get to choose the good, kind, loving people that raise your child. But if you try to keep your child knowing you're not fit, you then become subject to foster care, where you don't get to choose where your child goes.
Right.
And you can't help if they end up like an Antoine Fisher. Make the responsible choice when you find out you're pregnant and you know you're not in a way to do what's best and keep the child yourself. This is why I always run back to you. Look in your community. You see if there's anybody in your circle that you can trust, because that's the easiest, as we've discussed. But if you can't find anybody in your immediate circle, then you outsource to an agency to find the proper people. So that way you don't even have to we can cut back the need for a foster care system. If we can start choosing adoption first, get over the stigma of adoption, there would be far less children in foster care. Let's get that right. There wouldn't be so many Antoine Fishers if we could get over this stigma of adoption.
It's a lot of stigmas we need to get over.
A girl, look, who got time? I got time.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to talk about that next Thursday.
Yeah.
Because Thursday is open forum.
Yeah.
So anything goes. So let me show this clip. And then we're going to roll into the final thoughts for tonight.
We discovered later on in the pregnancy that there was something the matter. And the first thought was, we're not going to get rid. First of all, we're born again Christians. We're not going to get rid of a baby. But we knew it was kind of, I won't say hopeless, but it seemed very bad. So I decided to wake up every morning at 6 a.m. and pray to God every single day, no matter where I'm at, maybe at 5 a.m. every day, and ask, please, please, please. And it didn't happen. And we adopted beautiful Miley. So we ended up doing what she first asked. I mean, if I'd have just...
What God first wanted.
Yeah.
And, of course, her. I think he really wanted her to be with us. And
she forgets sometimes that isn't the baby that she carried.
Yeah.
For sure.
Both me and her say that about each other. She's like, Mom, I really came out of you. I'm like, yes, you did, you know. But I do want women to know out there, if they can't have a baby, please think about adopting, because it is unreal how
You don't know any
it
difference.
feels like
That
your
baby's like
baby.
Diggy. Yeah.
Like it's,
There's no difference.
when you saw for yourself, we encourage adoption.
Mm-hmm.
We encourage it. We push it. I mean, go for it. You have so many babies out here that need good homes,
Mm-hmm.
even though the system gives us hell when it comes time to adopt. Don't take no for an answer.
Then all that means is we just have to find new and creative ways to fight to change legislature, to give more opportunities. We need to create more adoption agencies. Hmm.
Right.
Come on,
Right.
Black CEOs. We start creating more adoption agencies ourselves where we can have better control over who gets our Black babies. Then that changes the game. That part.
B.O.B. y'all. Start
Mhm.
supporting BOBs, black owned businesses. Start
Mhm.
tapping into these genres that we typically. Let me say this. Let's start treading into those uncharted waters.
Mhm. I'm gonna need y'all to see how other people are making money. Look, let me take the glasses off for this one. I'm gonna need y'all to see how other people are making money and do that. That part. Legally.
Mm.
Then you'll have money to adopt.
Mm.
That part.
Woo. You had to take
Yeah.
your glasses off for that one. Sis.
I did. I did. You know, but it is because we as a people have been put in positions to feel less than, or like it's just so that the mountain is so huge. Why should we even try? Like we are purposely made to feel that way, but we have always been capable. We've always been conquerors. So it's just a matter of wake up. You're capable. Get the little tingling in you. Get that spirit awoke now. I'm gonna need you to wake up now.
Right. It's
You
a matter
have
of
greatness in
believing
you.
it.
You have
Of
greatness in
knowing.
you. You're capable of being a millionaire. You're capable of being a billionaire. You have ideas and dreams and visions that God put in you. And it's about time that you get up off your behind and make them happen. Stop telling yourself it'll never happen. Stop telling yourself all the negative things that everybody around you that doesn't have a vision, that doesn't have a dream, that doesn't have a passion. Don't listen to them. You listen to what God put into you. And if you're positive and you're productive with that gift, it'll allow you to be fruitful, and you will have the financial things that you need to accomplish what the Lord wants you to accomplish. But it's up to us to figure out how to monetize our passions, how to contribute and change the game. We can't keep sitting back talking about it. We have to actually be active and get up and make moves, because the way I see it is Beyonce is Beyonce because she worked hard. Nobody had to tell her she could be Beyonce. She didn't wait for nobody to say, all right, we cast him for the next Beyonce. And she said, oh, me. No, she just said, I'm the shit. Her parents told her, bitch, you the shit. Work hard, dance, girl. You can sing. And she said, I believe it. I believe it. And then Single Ladies came. Like she believed it, and she had the right people around her to raise her up to believe she could. And because she did have the proper support, she made the moves, she made the connections, and they all made it happen as a community and as a group.
Right.
That's all it takes, is for you to just believe in yourself, and you can have the adoption agency to help change the game,
Or
to save the Black babies. That's who I am. I'm the impossible dream maker. You know what I'm saying? That's who I am. And that's the kind of life that I want to put out into people.
right.
Why can't you?
I mean,
I'll wait for you to tell me why you can't. You know what I mean?
Like I say, when it comes to adoption, man, we gotta go get our Black babies. We just, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, we've got to go get them.
Yeah,
We have
they
to
need
save
you.
our Black boys and girls that go into the system. You know, I look at here in Houston, Malia Davis, the little girl whose body parts they found in Arkansas, was in foster care. Her and her brother. You know, this baby had sustained 2 head injuries. and the system gave her back to her mother and the baby, and this beautiful little girl ended up dead. So,
We have to protect our own lives.
right.
That's really what it boils down to. Is we already know we are not as valuable to them. It was written in the Constitution. We weren't even whole people.
Mhm.
So knowing that, it's on us to protect our babies. It's on us to make the educated decisions, to stop worrying about who cares about what it looks like. Well, how's your soul going to feel? How are you going to handle it if things don't go the right way because you did something to suit what everybody, what the public wanted, when you knew you could have given a child life, given them a good life with a good family that could raise them up in the right way? How will you feel?
Right.
Because I know me personally, I have a weight that I'll never get rid of. And you never get rid of it.
Right. It's
And that's
just
not something that anybody should have to have, especially if they didn't choose to have it themselves.
mhm. You better say that for Tuesday, girl.
Well,
Hold on to that for Tuesday.
that
I
part.
mean, me and you, we've already talked about it, but hold on to that for Tuesday. But
It's through education and empowerment. That's how we save our Black babies. That's how we embrace adoption.
right,
Embrace it. It's a beautiful gift. It is a beautiful gift. But we have to stop looking at it as this big thing, this stigma, and being more stank about adoption than we are about abortion. I'm gonna need us to
change the narrative.
switch that,
That's what
because
needs to change.
mainstream media, think about it, they love the fact that the Black church pressures, women behind closed doors to go the abortion route, because that just kills more of us off. It suits their narrative.
Exterminates us.
Exactly. That's why we're made
I had
to
to
be
say that.
shamed. I
Exterminate.
know. Seriously though, that's why we're made to be shamed about it.
Right.
And it's sad because even me, like my children, they know I threaten the lives out of them. And make me a grandma in my 30s, I'm killing everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But we make sure we proactive. We cannot, once the damage is done, it's done. Now is where everybody has to do the smartest thing, the most responsible thing, the most humane thing. And to me, that's adoption.
Right. And that's the most unselfish act a mother could do. When I look over, I'm gonna roll into my final thoughts, and then I'm gonna let you have your final thoughts. When I go back and I look at my situation, I had my first child at 22 and my second child at 24. I wanted to be a mom, but I didn't want to be a mom, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I still wanted to, because at 18, I was in a very abusive relationship. So that's where I was, from 18 to 20, 17 to 20. And so I didn't get to be 18.
You didn't get to live.
Right. So when I had my first child, I was still clubbing. When I had my second baby, I was still clubbing. And I wanted to do me. And not only did I want to do me, I was dealing with my demons on top of that. So when I left my children with my mom. And I think that was the most unselfish thing I could have ever done. Because I
Yeah.
was going from pillar to post. And I didn't want to drag my children here and there and here and there and here and there. I didn't want to do that. So when I ended up in Atlanta, I had everything ready for my children to come. I caught a case. dashed my whole dreams. My mom was like, leave him here till we figure out what's gonna happen with your case. I called a second case. 2 felonies.
Oh no.
I'm looking at 20 years.
Oh Lord.
And I said, I have to leave my kids with my mom. And it wasn't that I didn't love my children. It wasn't that at all.
No, it's never that.
I was still just trying to do me.
Rarely is it that. And that's the thing. It's never black and white like that.
Right.
And that's why it's important to discuss the topic.
Right. So I didn't let my mother adopt my children, because at any point, even now, and they're 20, 18, and now I have an 11-year-old. But I think the most and I'm gonna say this and continue to say this. Women, I think the most unselfish thing you could do is to not drag your children all over the place.
Mhm.
Leave them somewhere where they're going to be safe, where
And
they're
stable.
taken care of. And I say that to say because that's what I did with my children. In further episodes, I'm going to go further into detail. A lot of them already know my story, but even when I came back for my children, my mother still didn't want my children with me. But that's a whole nother show, y'all. That's gonna be a whole nother episode. But I wanted to just say that to say I think I made the most unselfish decision a woman / mother could ever make.
We are responsible as mothers for giving our children peace and stability and keeping them safe. And if we know that we're unstable in how we are living our lives, whatever the reason is for it, if we recognize that it is not a stable thing for our children, then it is the most selfless thing to do, is to leave them with somebody. Because even if you are in the midst of wanting to just live your best life, a piece of you died the day that you had to turn your kids over to your mother. A piece of you was very much hurt and heartbroken and feeling like less than because you weren't able to keep them. But in fact, you had the smarts to know that was the smartest thing for you to do for them, so that they could have peace and stability while you figured yourself out. Because God forbid, think about the things that happened after, if they had been there for it.
My kids
And I wasn't with you.
And my babies could have ended up in foster care.
Exactly.
Had I had taken them, had they have come to Atlanta, and I caught these cases, foster care probably would have taken my children.
Mm-hmm.
So
especially if your family don't have the means to get down to you to
Right.
come collect your children.
Right. And so that I wanted to throw that out there in regards to when you consider adoption. Think about your child. Make the most unselfish decision you can make when it comes to the well-being of your baby. Don't be selfish. Yes, I understand. It was hard for me to leave my children. It was very hard for me. But I knew, and I pat myself on the back every day, I wouldn't be the woman I am now had I not have gone through those obstacles. You get what I'm saying? Had I not have gone on those roller coasters, I wouldn't be the woman I am today. Do I have regrets? Yeah. Do I wish I would have done things differently? Every day. But I thank God for allowing me to go through that to be the woman that I am today. And I'm growing every day. Every day I'm growing.
Yeah.
So I say that to say, make the best decision. Make the best decision for the child. Be unselfish when it comes to making sure your baby is mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually taken care of. Don't do that to these babies. These babies don't ask to come here.
Sure don't. And there's too many options between when they're created and when they're born.
Right.
Too many options to be dragging them all over the free world, allowing them to be used and abused and traumatized.
Right.
That's the part where it's like, I have an issue. I have an issue. If your children end up used and abused and traumatized because you just failed to do anything to protect them, that's where it's like, me and you got beef. I don't even got to know you. I ain't even got to know your baby, but I got beef with you, and you will have a come to Jesus moment with me because too many options.
Right. And let me say this, sis, before I let you have, your final thoughts. Let me say this. Women, stop using these kids as pawns like it's a game. If you know that the father has the better means to take care of the child, by all means, give the child to the father.
Please, that part, because ain't nobody wrote no rule book that says children got to be with their mama. I'm gonna need y'all to stop that. Please stop that. And stop using children to try to keep and hold on to babies in bags. Okay, because that part don't work either.
I just had to throw that out there real quick.
Me too.
If the father has better means and the situation is better, by all means, think about the child. You women, stop being so bitter.
And we need to discuss this, the fathers in another episode as well, because that's a whole other complication of adoption.
That's in June.
Yeah.
Next month.
Okay.
June is the whole month dedicated to fathers. So we're talking about everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a whole other situation in adoption. That's complicated.
Come on, sis. What's your final thoughts for tonight?
But my final thoughts is just, again, not that I'm saying I'm against abortion by any means, because in my personal opinion, there are circumstances where it's warranted and it is a very personal decision. But I'm a big proponent of save our Black babies. Too many of them have died unnecessarily, and there are too many loving Black parents, people that are capable, financially, emotionally stable enough to give these children loving, safe, happy homes. And there's a gamut of options in between closed adoptions and open adoptions where you have the choice as the parent. Why not choose that and have control over the circumstance than to allow yourself to be in a situation where now you're dealing with a foster care scenario and now you have no control, and there's more of a chance that your child will end up in a traumatic way. It's just about being a responsible person, no matter how old you are. If you find yourself in a way where you know you're not capable of keeping your child, then you reach out to whoever you can think of to help you go through your options based on what's available to you, the resources that you have yourself personally and your community and the support that you have around you, and go from there, because the foster care system is an unnecessary tragedy that can be very avoided. It really can be, but it's up to us to be better and make better decisions, and to acknowledge that it's a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength to acknowledge I just don't have it in me to raise my child adequately, and to say I need help and go get it. And again, have the choice as to where your child goes versus letting tragedy occur. And now nobody has choices. Everybody's a mess and sorrow.
It's, I love the way you closed. I loved your final thought. The accuracy of it. We have to be the change.
We
We
got to be
got.
the
We
change we
got
want to
to.
see in the world. We have to be the change we want to see in the world. We can't keep talking about it. We got to be about it. You know, we got to walk the walk if we're going to talk the talk.
You already knew it. You already knew. But we have to start leading by example. Just like
Exactly.
you say, we have to start treading into uncharted waters, going to
Mhm.
unfamiliar territories, and let's take our black babies back.
And we got to be willing to talk about the hard topics and to be transparent
Mhm.
because our children desperately need the raw and honest truth. We cannot afford to sugarcoat things or to leave parts of the story out because we're embarrassed.
Mhm.
We can't do that no more. Because I know it set plenty of people in our generation up for failure because we got edited and annotated versions of stories.
Right.
Well, there have been redactions, and we did not know that there were redactions. It's enough. Platforms like this is where we can talk about things and we can keep it 1,000. And we're gonna tell you the good, the bad, the indifferent, and get you through to making the best decision for you, a well-informed decision, which we all are entitled to have.
Right. And that's what Black Girl Interrupted is about. Y'all already know. Every Tuesday, every Thursday, y'all know to tune in with your girl, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Y'all know y'all can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. Run them lights up. Y'all know I'm on all the streaming platforms. Leave a review. Y'all, I'm getting so tongue tied tonight. I don't know why. But leave a review. Y'all know I'm on all the streaming platforms. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Google Podcasts. I'm on iHeartRadio. I'm on these. I'm all over the place. Put in Black Girl Interrupted,
Okay.
and you gonna see your girl pop up. So leave a
Mm-hmm.
review. Let me know what topics y'all want to talk about on Black Girl Interrupted, because you know I'm always ready to come live, raw, uncut, direct, uncensored, transparent. Y'all know I come for the shit and giggles too at times. Y'all know that's what I come for. But on that note, don't forget Tuesday night, we're gonna be talking about abortion. Oh,
Necessary conversations, you know,
yeah.
very necessary conversations.
Tuesday night, abortion. 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It's time for us to have the most uncomfortable conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Are you for? Are you against? I do want to say y'all will definitely be respectful on this show when we talk about abortion,
Mm-hmm.
because you do have some people that are pro-life and you have some that aren't. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we have our let me say this, Texas Governor Greg Abbott. You can't tell a woman what the fuck to do with their bodies.
Mm-mm. Y'all trying it down there. That's what I'm saying. We so busy running our mouths focused on other things. This is why we also have to pay attention to politics, because they try to slip stuff in on you, sneak stuff in on you, and next thing you know, stuff is law and you didn't even recognize it was even being voted on. We gotta watch these folks.
And now you had these people that are doing illegal abortions, but we gonna talk
Mhm.
about that Tuesday night.
Yeah, that's a whole situation.
Had these women that, you know what? I'm gonna leave that for Tuesday night.
Mhm.
See, I don't even want to get into that conversation right now because it's gonna piss me off, and I'm just gonna be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. Look, both of us done had too much of a day. We got to let that
Right.
marinate till Tuesday.
Right.
All right,
So
look.
y'all don't forget Tuesday night. Y'all check out my girl Leslie, and you can find
Yeah.
her name on YouTube. You can find her
Hmm.
on Instagram. And For
Yep,
the
we
Love
got
Culture podcast, like I
Leslie
said,
Ann Music, Leslie Ann Realtor on Facebook, Instagram, Leslie Ann Music on YouTube. And I just got distribution today, signed up for distribution. She's 100% independent. So, me and my son KJ made it on the beat. We gonna have a nice little single come out, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So I'm excited, and it'll be on all platforms. So we doing things. See if we can get us a little theme song for the show. Try to work some things out.
You already know we talked about that. And I definitely want because I do want a theme song. I absolutely do, and it's a lot of things I want to do
And
with
don't
Black
let
Girl
me forget
Interrupted.
too. I also host Millennial Talk Tuesdays once a month for housethenthecar.com. It's a national platform where we provide real estate information. We have a virtual school where you can actually get your real estate degree in your real estate license in all 50 states. So it's great. We have credit, tools and things all free available to help empower our Black people and Melanin Magic. I mean, it's free for everybody, but we definitely were thinking about us and creating generational wealth and opportunities for, building assets over liabilities, which is why we're House Then the Car. So I had to plug that in real quick, because it's time to level up, people. It's time to level up. Kingdom Builders. I'm gonna have you look. We will talk because I'm booking guests for July and August. So
because I definitely need I need some things. I need to get
we're gonna
kicked out.
talk because I just found out too. The New York, Pennsylvania, and Georgia real estate licenses are all reciprocal. So guess who's about to get licensed in Georgia and New York and PA?
Hey, I need
And
to
then
hook you.
Cali's the only one that's left. Because really, I was like Georgia and Cali. That's where we going, Georgia and Cali. But as soon as my boss said that Georgia and New York and PA, you just one test and you just pay the fees for the other two states. So that's confirmation from the Lord. Okay,
Right.
confirmation. So we'll talk.
Check out my girl. Check out my sis right here. Check out my girl. Like I say, tune in with me. She will be back with me next Tuesday. We're talking about abortions. 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
And thank you so much for having me too. I appreciate you. You're a blessing. Like you're everything.
It ain't no thanks, man. I told you, God places people in your life for a reason, and I'm looking forward to all the projects that we have coming up. I'm absolutely excited to see how 2021 ends. And how 2022 begins.
It's gonna be popping. Okay, Kingdom Builders all the way. That's the vibe. Queen vibes and Kingdom Builders. Anybody got time? Ain't nobody got time.
Right. Definitely need it. Well, I love you guys. And I will see you. Thank y'all again for tuning in to another episode of Black Girl Interrupted. I always say I love y'all. Oh, wait. Before I bring this to an end, don't forget, y'all, I have to wrap it up. I have to go back and it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Do not forget. Contact that number that's on the screen. If you are in a crisis, if you know somebody that's in a crisis, be the support. Check on your strong friends. We're not always okay. Sometimes a phone call, a text, a message, something will change that person's day. Be a part of the change. All right. I had to run that back real quick because, again, like I said, Mental Health Awareness Month. And like I said, we have to keep the conversation rolling, because it doesn't end May 31st. Mental health continues every day. Take heed. Check on your people. Send them a message. Send them, whatever. Pick up the phone, call 30 seconds out of your day, 1 minute out of your day, 60 seconds out of your day. It's not going to kill you to go and check on your friends. Let them know, hey, I'm thinking about you. You're good over there. So, love y'all. And again, I will see y'all Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget, hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode of Black Girl Interrupted. And again, shout out to my girl Leslie for joining me tonight. And you will see her again Tuesday night, because we are going to be talking about abortion. So
Yes.
love y'all. Have a good night. See y'all Tuesday.
Good night.